Turning to the migrant crisis, more than 900 migrants were rescued on Wednesday from 3 overcrowded boats en route to Europe from North Africa. According to an Italian Coast Guard official, one body was recovered. This French Navy patrol ship rescued 297 migrants from a fishing boat in the southern Mediterranean on Wednesday. The crew of the ship provided food and water to the group, which included 51 women and children, and 16 people received medical treatment. The 20-meter vessel was discovered about 190 miles from the Italian coast by an Italian sport plane. The migrants, whose nationalities were not given, were due to be taken to a destination in Italy. The European Union says it is still seeking a UN resolution on attacking smugglers.
Probably we need to do more altogether to tackle the problem, not only by rescuing migrants, but tackle the problems at their roots. Namely, there is trafficking, there is a lot of money involved, there is some political situations in Libya that needs to be solved as well. It is a huge problem, but we need to find solutions for that.
Well, on Monday, EU ministers approved an operation that will establish military force to combat human smuggling across the Mediterranean Sea. But the EU still needs to secure Libya's and the United Nations Security Council's permission to operate near the Libyan coast and in international waters. While more than 30,000 migrants from Africa or the Middle East who have crossed the Mediterranean to Europe this year have landed in Italy. A European Commission plan to share out the burden of handling asylum requests has already triggered objections from opponents of immigration. Now, for more perspective into the EU migrants' dilemma, Joel Millman, spokesperson of the International Organization of Migration, joins us via Skype live from Geneva. Welcome, Joel.
Thank you.
Now, we have been talking for weeks on end about the best solution to the migrant crisis. From your perspective, where are we at this point?
Well, I think we're moving in a direction we want to be moving in. The fact that they're even discussing quotas, they're talking about resettlement, they're even acting as though this is something that they just have to grapple with, is something that IOM and other agencies have been talking about for several months. We think that the migrants really need to be given some kind of guarantee that they can enter freely without fear of deportation and possibly reunite with their families, which might be the most efficient way of integrating them in Europe. I can understand why the quota system has caused pause for some of the EU members. I don't believe, and I don't think anyone else believes, that the size of a country or the size of its population should dictate where it fits in the sharing of the responsibility. I think what we can rely on is the fact that migrants have their own communications networks and their own family networks and community networks in many countries across Europe, and they themselves will know where the best place is for them to touch down. And we should let them act as the economic actors they are, which is to find the proper spot for themselves.
Now, there is the other plan, of course, of having this very special operation specifically to target smugglers. Some have criticized this. What is the best way forward?
Well, I mean, I think you're referring to the criticism of attacking the vessels and the crafts, which sounds like a drastic step, but we're confident that if any organization, any part of the EU wishes to sink a craft, they'll first verify that it is being used for migrant smuggling. And if it's being used for migrant smuggling just in the moment that the migrants are aboard, I'm certain that they'll guarantee their safety and make sure all the innocent people who are passing through are taken off the boat and brought to safety. So if you look at it from that perspective, it's a positive step. We also think that the consensus around prosecuting and punishing criminal gangs that have acted pretty much with impunity for the last couple of years, possibly immunity as well, is also an important step. Mm-hmm. But we also wish to stress that it isn't just Europe's responsibility. We see a role for the African Union, we see a role for the Arab Union, we see roles for the transit countries as well to step up and participate in whatever solution is developed.
And very quickly, up to this point, what kind of role have you seen the African Union play to give some help here?
Well, what we are hopeful of is that they'll help mediate a ceasefire and an end to some of the conflict in Libya, which at the moment is probably the driving force behind this much of an exodus from that coast. So when the security situation solidifies, and in fact, when we can honestly say there is a security situation right now, there's an insecurity situation, then we think a lot of this traffic will fall off, which is what we're hopeful of.
Well, Joel, thank you very much for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
Well, Joel Millman is the spokesperson for the International Organization of Migration.